It is my great privilege and honor to present this next award and introduce our next speaker. We have been so privileged to have Michelle Rhee come to Indiana to help unite all of us together for our common goal, our common mission, which is to put kids first, to remember what counts in education is really the kids. Whether you're a student at a charter school, a virtual school, a public school, we're all trying to fight for the best thing that works for kids. Teacher quality, choices that work, regardless of where you are. Not everyone fits into the same mold, and we are so proud to have her here with us to help unite us in a common goal. Thank you. Michelle Rhee.
Good morning, Indiana. I want to thank all of the elected officials here today, to Commissioner Bennett, to the parents, the grandparents, the students for being here this morning. But in particular, I want to make sure that we are acknowledging the people in the room who actually have the hardest job every single day, which is our teachers. So can I hear it for Indiana's teachers? Sort of new to this school reform effort, I know you must think that it's a little bit strange. Why are all the adults fighting about these issues that seem like such common sense, right? Let me tell you a little bit about my experience in coming into this field and understanding some of the dynamics that are going on. I was the chancellor of the Washington, D.C. public schools for 3.5 years. I took over the school district in 2007, and when I took it over, it was the lowest performing and most dysfunctional school district in all of the country, and it was widely known for that. We had an achievement gap between where our white students were performing and where our black students were performing of 70 percentage points. That's 70 percentage points. If you were a 9th grader entering into high school in our system, the probability that you would graduate from college within 5 years was 9%. And of all of the 8th graders in the city schools, only 8% of them were on grade level in mathematics. 8%. Which means that 92% of our kids did not have the skills and knowledge necessary to be productive members of society. So I started going around the city and talking about what I thought was possible, that we wanted a school system that served every single child well. And I would often go to these forums where I would give speeches like this, and I would talk about the vision, and I would talk about what could be accomplished, what we had to do right by kids, and inevitably, afterwards, people would come up to me after the speech and say, you know what, Michelle, we like you. You seem smart, you're energetic, you're really passionate about school reform, but you are not going to be successful. And I always said, gee, thanks. Why do you think so? And they'd say, because schools are a reflection of the communities that they're in. And as long as we have the economic disparity in this country that we do, we're always going to have an inequality in schools, because you'll have some neighborhoods and cities and communities where there's lots of wealth and lots of resources, and in those communities you're going to have great schools, and then you're going to have other communities that are less well-resourced, there's poverty, etc., and in those neighborhoods you're going to have not so good schools. That's the way capitalism works. That's the way democracy works. There's nothing that you can do about it. And I never used to believe that that's the way that things needed to be. And I could never figure out, how do I articulate why things don't have to be that way for the kids in America today? And it wasn't until about a year after that, I had the good fortune of meeting Warren Buffett. So kids, have you ever heard of Warren Buffett before? Yeah? He's like one of the richest men in the world. Smart guy. So I never thought in my whole life that I'd have the opportunity to meet Warren Buffett. There I was one evening in Omaha, Nebraska, and I'm having a steak dinner with Warren Buffett. And he looks at me and he says, you know, Michelle, it is very easy to fix the problems in public education in America today. And I said, really? Can you hurry up and tell me what it is so I can run back to D.C. and do it? And he said, all you have to do is make private schools illegal and assign every child to a public school by random lottery. So think about that for a minute. Because if we had done that in D.C., which means that every ambassador's child, every CEO's child, every congressman's child, and the president's 2 children all got assigned to a random school by lottery, which means that most of them would be going across town into Anacostia every day for school, I guarantee you that you would never see a faster movement of resources from one side of the city to the other as you would in that circumstance. And I also guarantee you that we would very quickly have a system of excellent schools. So the point that Warren Buffett was trying to make was not let's close down private schools, but if everybody had equal chances and we were all sending our children to those schools together, then we would see a wildly different thing occur. So the question in my mind is not, is it possible to change the circumstance so that every kid in this country could get an excellent education? That's not the question, because the answer to that question is very easy. Yes, we can, right? The problem in this country is, are we, as the adults in this nation, do we have the wherewithal that it would take to make the incredibly difficult decisions necessary to make that a reality for every single American child? And the answer to that question so far in America has been no. But we have the opportunity to change that circumstance. And we have the opportunity in Indiana today for this state to be leading the charge across the rest of the nation. Indiana can be at the forefront of education reform, but there are 2 things that are going to happen in order for us to determine whether the Hoosier state is going to lead the charge or not. The first thing is